Hey everybody, my name's Jeff. I think most of y'all probably know that already. But for any of you that don't, my name is Jeff Saunders and I'm a pediatric oncology and bone marrow transplant nurse at Methodist Children's Hospital in San Antonio, Texas. Now, basically what that means is I get the privilege and the honor to take care of kids that are fighting cancer and kids that are going through a bone marrow transplant, which is often their last shot at getting rid of the cancer. So I get to work with some super special kids and, I'm just crazy about them. So I've been doing this for 7 years. Well, 6 years ago, I got involved in a charity called the St. Baldrick's Foundation. And basically what this charity does is they raise money. Their sole purpose is to raise money for childhood cancer research. And the goal of that is to find better treatments for these kids and hopefully cures for the different cancers that they're fighting. And then much of the research that's funded also helps out and benefits kids that are going through bone marrow transplants and kids that are fighting certain blood diseases. So this thing is very, very special and very important to me because these kids are very special and very important to me. No child should have to go through what these kids go through. And hopefully one day no child will have to go through what these kids are going through. So enough of the seriousness, let's get into the silliness, okay? So one of the ways that St. Baldrick's Foundation raises funds for the research is they have shave events. And they get silly people like me to sign up and raise donations with the promise of, I'm gonna shave my head since you're donating money to me. So that's what I'm in the process of doing right now. We're gonna have a shave event, a small one at the hospital next Friday. And we're gonna actually have some of our kiddos, some of our patients give us our haircuts. And then a couple days later, on next Sunday, March 21st, we'll be having a big live shave event here in New Braunfels, Texas. The 3rd annual New Braunfels Sharon. And we actually have a member of our team is gonna have her head shaved at that event. So this is all gonna be a whole lot of fun, and I know what you're thinking, what does that have to do with what we're doing today? Well, I'm gonna tell you. Each year I set like some goals for donations. And what I did this year was I set some goals where I would change my hair color if I hit the goals. So I've hit the goal, so that's what we're doing today. We're gonna start off with dyeing my hair gold because gold is the color for childhood cancer awareness. And since it's kind of hard to change this from this to gold, I'm actually gonna be bleaching it. And according to this, I should look like Khaleesi, the mother of dragons, when we're done. But I probably won't, but anyway, I should have some nice bleached hair. I'll probably look more like Hulk Hogan if Hulk Hogan had hair on his head. But anyway, that's the first step, and that's what I'm actually gonna do right now. See, you guys don't know this, but this part of the show is pre-recorded because it's gonna take me about an hour to change my hair to gold. So we're gonna do some time traveling. What you're watching right now is in the past. Well, it's the present for me right now, but you're gonna see it in my future. Time travel is very confusing. But anyway, I will be back with y'all in just a few moments, and my hair will hopefully look nice and pretty and blonde. And yeah, I'll see you in a minute, and we'll talk a little bit more about the fun stuff we're gonna be doing this afternoon. Did it work? Do I look like I'm about ready to be the mother of dragons? So this was for my first goal. I reached my $500 goal a few days ago. So my hair is gold for all these kids that are so important to us. So I've got a couple more goals that I've also hit, and we're going to do some more hair coloring today. So uh, for a $750 goal, I said I would dye my hair green for all the money that y'all are donating to this wonderful cause. And for my $1,000 goal, which I hit, I said I would I would dye my hair pink because I love these kiddos and I love this cause. So that's the plan for today. Now, the way this is going to work is I'm going to be jumping back and forth from this camera, the Jeff cam, to another cam called the color cam, which is going to be set up by my sink where I'm going to actually be doing the business to my hair. I've shared some links, so hopefully we'll have some guests hop on during this, and the plan is, we'll get folks on and they can tell their story related to the St. Baldrick's charity, or just related to cancer in general. This is a super important cause. Unfortunately, the statistics, even though they're a lot better than they used to be, are nowhere near where we want them to be. Too many kids just don't have a good outcome from these diagnoses. So that's where St. Baldrick steps in. They do a tremendous amount of funding to the research that helps to come up with better treatments and potentially cures for these kids that are battling these diseases. And I actually have my first guest. I think she's maybe about ready to hop on. And this is a very important guest. I'm gonna give her a little introduction, and then I'll bring her into the stream. And she can tell her story. But there's this amazing woman that I've gotten to know over the last few years. Her name is Jocelyn Lawrence. She puts on and does all the behind the scenes, making sure everything is set up and working and good to go for our local event here in New Braunfels, Texas, for the St. Baldrick's Foundation. Now, this event is going to be in a week. It'll be next Sunday on March 21st at 2 p.m. And, I should just quit talking about it and bring her in and let her tell you all about it. Hey, hey. Oh.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just about to pull over so I can focus a little bit better on this. I'm obviously in the car right now.
That's all right. I figure we'll probably have people coming in from everywhere
For
over
sure.
the next hour or so. But yeah, I can keep blabbing a little bit if you need me to.
Oh, I am parked now, so it'll be easier.
Perfect.
Okay. So, as you obviously know, my son River was diagnosed with neuroblastoma in 2014. And I don't think that I got involved with St. Baldrick's until maybe 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard some of the other doctors and other people talk about it, but it just never we were focused on treatment, so it really wasn't on our radar.
Right.
And then in 2017 for sure, I got to be involved with another St. Baldrick's event.
Mm-hmm.
And then unfortunately later that I was, actually I was going to shave that year. I was going to shave my head, and some of the other mamas, said, "Hey, wait," because 46 Mamas was a really big group in St. Baldrick. They were going to be in Austin in 17. So it kind of became one of those things where, hey, wait, shave your heads with the mamas. That'll be great. And unfortunately, between the Alamo event and the 46 Mamas event, I lost River. So then when I shaved my head with 46 Mamas, it was a much bigger, it meant a lot more because I think I had just lost him six
Hmm.
weeks before. And then I ended up shaving again in 18 at the Alamo event again because I was just moved. I was listening to people's stories, and I was shaving a friend's head because I'm also a hairstylist. So I've done the barber role, and I said, hey, you know what? If you want to shave my head, we'll do it, but you have to do it. And then after that, we kind of started talking and said, you know what? There's not really any St. Baldrick's events between Austin and San Antonio, and so why don't we start a new one? And River was born in New Braunfels. I know several families from New Braunfels, and it was just kind of, I feel like there was just something missing, and that's why I thought let's do it in New Braunfels. There's plenty of families there. There's plenty of support, and for us, we have a lot of first responder support, and so we've had a lot of those kind of neighboring. Where San Antonio is kind of far from Live Oak and UC, we've been able to get some of those other smaller departments, fire departments, to come help us out too. And honestly, we haven't even had the event yet. And this is our third annual St. Baldrick's Sheeran. We have already raised over $100,000 in 3 years. And it's unheard of. I have a friend in Louisiana who he's been doing his event for 7 years, and he just now hit $100,000. So
Yeah,
it's
and
amazing.
just to let people know, because there are people all over watching this, maybe even overseas. But the geographically here, where we're at in New Braunfels, Texas, we're about 40 miles from Austin, Texas, and about 40 miles in the other direction from San Antonio, Texas. So what Jocelyn was saying that there's a lot of small towns like New Braunfels between San Antonio and Austin, and those bigger cities are just a little bit out of the way for those smaller towns. So having the event in New Braunfels has just been wonderful for all of these smaller towns and smaller communities, and it's really kind of given them an opportunity to get involved in this, which is
Absolutely.
spectacular.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm proud of, and I'm so grateful to have the support of you guys at the hospital at Methodist because we spent a lot of our time there too. So you guys are really close to my heart, and some of y'all took care of River, and remember him, and so it just means a lot to have y'all support behind us too because this really was just, hey, what if we did this? And I'm just still blown away at how big it's become and how well we're doing in this crazy COVID time we're dealing with. We don't have as many shavees this year, but we're on track to raise just as much money, if not more, than we have the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's a huge testament to the big hearts of the people that keep up with this stuff, and the people that are able to donate, because this has been a tough year, and especially here in Texas. I mean, just a few weeks ago, a lot of people went through some really tough stuff with the crazy freeze that we got, and the fact that as many people are stepping forward and donating to this cause, that are just really, I don't know, it kind of it surprises me in the best of ways. Now,
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that that's my biggest push is still raising not just the funding that we do, the money that we get, but raising the awareness because I feel like there are so many people who, you don't know until you go through it. I feel like, sometimes we know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, but until it's your own
mhm,
child or your sibling or, your grandchild, something like that, I don't think most people realize that. I've even heard so much is that adults don't realize that kids get cancer, which blows, as a cancer mom, that blows my mind because of course kids get cancer. But a lot of people don't know that, or they just see the St. Jude commercials and they don't really, it,
mhm.
they just don't see it. They just don't get it. They've been lucky enough to not have been touched by it.
Yeah, yeah, and I you probably get this as a parent who had a child that went through this. I get it a lot as a healthcare worker that works in this field. But often when I tell people what I do, I get two responses. I get the look, which is, you probably know the look. It's the look people give when they don't know what to say or how to respond. And then I also often get, oh, I could never do that. And I want to set a couple of things straight real quick. And Jocelyn can I'm sure back me up on this. As far as the look goes, cancer sucks. And when kids have cancer, it sucks. But it's not all the bad stuff. These kids are still kids, and they're still doing kid stuff, and they still smile, and they still enjoy the life that they have, and they brighten up the day and the nights of anyone that's around them. So that's my response to the look is, these are just kids, and they're incredible kids, and for the most part they're kids being kids, right? um, and then as far as, like, people often say, oh, I can never do that. Well, uh, if you go to stbaldrick's.org and make a donation, or sign up as a volunteer, or sign up to have your head shaved, you're doing that, because all I do is help take care of kids with cancer. And if you do any of those things through St. Baldrick's, guess what? You're helping take care of kids with cancer too. So I just kind of wanted to shelf that from the get-go, because like I said, you probably get a lot of the same reactions when you talk about doing a lot of this stuff.
As a parent, I get a lot of, oh, I couldn't do what you do. You're so strong. You're so strong. No, I feel like my job as a parent is to take care of my kids. And that's what I did. My job description changed a little bit. The things that I needed to do to take care of him changed, but I was still just being a parent. It was, he kind of became like special needs. There were just special things that he needed. But at the end of the day, he was still my 2-year-old, my 4-year-old, and he lived. And I tell people,
Yeah.
he only got 5 years, but he lived more than some adults that I know. I mean, and sometimes, he had the same temper tantrums that that other little kids have, and he had the same great times that other kids had. And there was nothing there are things that he got to do, yes, because he had cancer, but I would have traded all those things, those great things he got to do, just to have him be normal and still have him. But he lived, and that was the biggest thing. Was always, I raised him as long as I could to know that, to still believe he was going to survive, and I'm raising a human being, you have to do certain things. So we stayed as normal as possible. So even as a mom, I still treated him as normal as possible, because that's my job as a mom, is to parent him and, do these things. And I kind of feel with St. Baldrick's, I feel like I'm just facilitating. I saw a need for something, and if I can still spread awareness and, help, because kids deserve more. They do. When you look at the funding that's not there for kids, and I know it's getting better, but it's not there. And like you said,
Right.
there are some cancers who have great success rates, but they don't all. Many of them don't. Or and I think the biggest misconception too is that, let's say leukemia and lymphomas, their success rate is so high. However, kids like River, he didn't die from his cancer. It was the treatments that ultimately that took him. It was complications of treatment. So I think even just spreading kind of that awareness, that's why this funding matters, because maybe there's a treatment for it, but there needs to be a better treatment. There needs to be a better way to treat these, so we don't have all these side effects. We don't have these secondary cancers.
Right.
It's so much bigger.
And that's a good point. the treatments and the success rates today are better than they used to be, but a lot of the kids that do get through everything do end up with like chronic conditions because of the treatments that they went through to get rid of the cancer. And often the treatments that got rid of the cancer the first time sometimes lead to a relapse later on. So there we still have a long ways to go. And that's why what we're doing here is so important, right? This funding is it's looking for better treatments that'll cut down, hopefully, and get rid of a lot of those chronic conditions. Um, but let's see. Let me check. I got a message here. Let me see what it says. Oh, I've been blabbing, and we have another guest. Um, this is Keely, Supernaut. She's one of our occupational therapies at the hospital, or therapies. I do know how to talk, I promise. She's one of our occupational therapists at the hospital, and she helps a lot of our patients out. And I'm going to actually pass the baton to her and let her talk and talk a little bit about what she does, how she's involved with these kiddos, and why she's doing all this. And while she's doing that, I'm going to start getting set up to put a little bit of color in my hair.
Yeah, so I work at the Methodist Children's Hospital, and I'm an occupational therapist. I don't know if everybody knows what an occupational therapist is, but we work on activities of daily living. So in an oncology unit, we're literally just kind of helping kids get out of bed and keep them moving, and kind of keep them engaged in the things that they do every day to kind of keep them moving and keep them active, and try and keep them as healthy as possible while they're going through chemotherapy and bone marrow transplant and all the different treatments and things that they're doing while they're going through cancer. So it's a pretty cool job because while they're going through all these ugly, hard things, we get to come in and find out what makes them tick. We get to find out what they love. We get to find out what their occupations are, what the things that they really enjoy are, and we get to find out ways to make them be able to do those things. So it's a pretty cool job, but it can also be a really hard job because obviously we get to go in and work on these things with these kids, and then sometimes they're not able to do them because of all the illnesses and the side effects from chemotherapy and all the hard things that they're going through. So, I think one of the things that really struck me about, first of all, learning about the acute setting, I was an outpatient occupational therapist for 8.5 years before I came into the acute setting and started working on an oncology bone marrow transplant unit. And I'd always obviously had a heart for kids and always had a heart for kids who had cancer and any kind of long-term illness like that. But it really struck me when I started working with these kids because even when they're sick and even when they're going through this life-threatening illness, they still want to play and they still want to enjoy life and they still want to have all these normal moments, and their parents still want to see all these normal milestones, and they don't get to. And even like this last year, we were, everybody was stuck in their houses, and everybody was complaining about being stuck in these four walls, right? And I thought, these kids are doing this sometimes their whole lives until they don't have any more days left on this earth, and that's it. And they're still happy and they're still playing and they're still making the most of every minute, and they're like the utmost definition of the word hero to me and the utmost definition of the word brave. And they're like, I could cry thinking about all of the amazing moments of bravery that I've witnessed out of the tiniest little people. And that's one of the reasons obviously that I wanted to support this. And also because there's, like, I think you guys have already covered, there's just not enough funding. And I think it's one of the biggest reasons is people just aren't aware of that big gap in the funding. So I obviously have a ton of hair, and I could be like a wig factory over here. So I figured I might as well shave my head, join the cause. So that's what I'm doing.
I love that. I'm sorry I had to step away for a minute. I needed to move my computer over to my sink.
That sounds like a good front row seat to hair dyeing
Right,
factory.
right. And I'm so glad that we have Jocelyn here in case I need any tips, because I know she's got a little bit more than a little bit of experience with changing hair colors.
She's the pro, huh?
Oh yeah.
As long as you've got gloves, I feel like you'll be okay because gloves are extremely important when you're dealing with dyes like that, with the direct dye.
You know, I was gonna swipe a box from work, and then I thought, well, I might get in trouble for that since it's gonna be on YouTube. So I went to HEB last night and got some gloves.
You could have just swiped probably a couple of gloves. I bet they would have been.
I could have. They probably so, but
donation to the cause. That could have been
right.
their contribution.
Right, because how many gloves have even just between the two of you have y'all blown up trying to make animals or
So
crazy
true.
things out of?
More than a couple. More than a couple.
Definitely.
All right. So I think we're gonna. Oh, you know what? I left my dyes over there. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Is there a color scheme already? Has he announced? Did I miss that part?
He did. He's doing green and pink.
Okay. That'll be good.
So I think we're going to start with the green today. And I haven't opened it, but I did look up the instructions online, so it doesn't sound too complicated. It suggested I put like some Vaseline or something along my hairline. Do I need to do that? That's what I was
going to ask. Absolutely. I mean, okay. Or you could just entertain us and not do that.
Okay.
I would do the Vaseline.
All right, let me go grab that.
Otherwise, it could be good for days.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a little kiddo client that I color his hair sometimes, and we usually, the last time we did it was for school pictures, and it's like, let's wait a couple days before school pictures. That way he doesn't go to school with, purple and blue skin.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not Vaseline, but it's something that I think we're all familiar with. Good old Aquaphor.
So it's the multi-purpose tool of emollient.
It is, and for a lot of people that don't know, a lot of our patients, that are going through treatment, or especially a lot of our patients that go through a bone marrow transplant, one of the complications that they sometimes get is skin irritations, and a lot of that has to do with the process of getting ready for transplant. These kids go through some really, really, really harsh chemotherapies to get rid of their existing bone marrow, so that once they have the transplant, the new stuff, the good stuff, can move in and start working. And one of the side effects from that is often it's like I said, very harsh on their skin. So Aquaphor, we slick these kids up after every shower. They are all shiny and greasy, but we do that to help protect their skin. So I'm a big advocate for Aquaphor. I should probably be getting paid for saying all this good stuff about Aquaphor.
Hashtag not sponsored, huh?
No, hashtag Aquaphor. Donate to St. Baldrick's.
Definitely.
Okay, and I'm using my camera as a mirror, so I hope I don't look too weird doing this. And I got to remember everything is reversed, but not like mirror reversed. It's like reversed and then flipped around correctly. So, all right. So I just want to go along my hairline. Is that right?
Anywhere you think the dye might land that you don't want to be pink or green.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
And the tops of your ears too. Definitely get the tops of your ears.
All right. Let me do that, and try not to get my headset too greasy. All right, that's one down, one to go. So if it does get on my skin, how long does it, how long will I have colored skin?
You can use, not that you have makeup remover, but you can use like an oil-based makeup remover to get some of it off. But honestly, it'll come off within a shower or two. It usually comes off pretty quickly.
Okay, all right.
I've
Well,
also had experience with I don't know if you watch Friends, but
uh-huh.
when Ross wanted like a level 4 tan and he got like a level 4 times 2 or 3 and he ended up with like a level 8 or 12 or something.
I think I remember that one, but I can picture it in my head.
Yeah, I had a similar experience once, and you can also use sugar scrub
Uh-huh.
and lemon juice to kind of pull some of that out. So worst case scenario, that works.
This stuff, ooh, it smells good. So this is, the brand is Punky Color, and it's the English, like the England English spelling of color with the O-U-R. And it kind of smells like bubble gum. So let's see. All right, I'm trying to get my headphones so they don't fall off and don't get dyed. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do a streak of green, I think right over here. Do y'all watch wrestling?
No.
No. I totally have like Matt Hardy's hair right now.
I actually do think I know who you're talking about, though.
Yeah. I don't think it's
I do
still
too.
like.
I was gonna say I watched wrestling years and years ago, and I still remember who he is.
Yeah. Well, I think at one time he kind of bleached his hair and it was kind of, it had this shape to it. All right, here we go. Y'all want to count down?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There it goes.
It's looking good.
All right. I think I
think the Aquaphor was a good choice.
I think so too. I may have hit a little bit of my skin there too, but that's okay. All right. I'm gonna look. This is gonna look so funny when I get it shaved here in a few days.
I was thinking after the shave, we could even offer ad space. You know how people do like the designs?
Oh yeah.
I was thinking about that. Perhaps we should do the designs like your ad here.
Right.
We could keep the donations going.
Yeah, I may have to look into doing that. Me and some of my buddies that I podcast and stream with, actually one of them is behind the scenes right now helping us out. Shout out to my producer today, Thomas Risling. We're fans of the show Vikings. And about halfway through that show, or maybe not even that far through it, a lot of the main characters shaved their head, and they started having like Viking rune tattoos on their head. So we've kind of joked around about drawing like messages in runes on my head once it's shaved.
That's a fun idea.
So the last time I shaved, I ended up getting a henna crown put on. I could probably find a henna artist to do some ads on heads if we needed to.
Oh, that
would be so cool. That
is such a good idea.
I mean, then I took it real big, and I actually have 3 shamrocks tattooed on the back of my head because I've shaved 3 times. But we can at least get some henna going.
That is pretty cool. So what do y'all think? Does that look like a good streak?
I like it.
All right. Now I'm going to switch my gloves, and we're going to go to pink. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, one of my donation goals was $500. And that was a goal that I said if I reached it, I would dye my hair gold, right? Because that's the color of Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Every year in September, we go gold. It's a huge thing. We really get into it big time at the hospital. But it's a big national thing, and it's a time. St. Baldrick's actually does a lot of donation drives around that time of the year as well. So I hit that. So that's why I bleached my hair. And then the green is because I said if I hit $750, I would dye it green for all the money people have donated. So also for St. Patrick's Day, because it's this week. And my original final goal was $1,000. And I had said if I hit that, I would dye my hair pink because I'm crazy about these kids. I love them. I love them dearly, and all this silliness. It's for them. So we're going pink because I hit $1,000. Now, one other thing that I haven't really talked about since we started streaming today is that I have a couple of more goals. So I have 2 mystery colors here. In the description to this video on YouTube, there are some links. One of those is my donation link. If I hit $1,250, I have a mystery color here. And if we get to $1,500, I have a second mystery color. And even if we don't do that during the stream today, I'll have those colors all week. I'm not going to be bald until Friday afternoon. So you have plenty of time to make me add some more color to my hair and help us raise money for St. Baldrick's.
I have a feeling you'll look like a rainbow, like a shamrock.
Probably so, which is appropriate because y'all's foundation is Rivers Rainbow. So
that's awesome.
And I have to say, my favorite shaving year, I think it was 2017 or 2018, the guys in Universal City, they surprised me. They banned me from the fire department for a couple days, and they ended up getting their hair bleached and did it rainbow and then shaved off their rainbow hair. So
that's so awesome.
So it's cool that you're kind of following that too. But it is my foundation, and Rivers Legacy Foundation is Rivers Rainbow. So that's perfect.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the foundation, Jocelyn? Because this isn't the only thing you guys do, right?
Right. So St. Baldrick's is totally separate from my foundation. I started, honestly, when we were in the hospital in the very beginning, I remember thinking I wanted to do something and give back. And because even if it was, just something fun, like even River's little sister loves character Band-Aids. I was like, what if we even did something like that? We just something to give back. And, treatment went on, and that kind of went on the back burner. And in the end of it, I realized through all the hospitals that we were at, there's not, you guys, you focus on the kids. That's your job, is to focus on the kids. But as a caregiver, there's not a lot out there for us, but it's not your job to take care of me as mom. It's awesome when we had nurses and therapists that would say, hey, go home, go take a shower, go back to Ronald McDonald, go do something, but there's not a lot out there for us. So I started Rivers Rainbows as caregiver support. And unfortunately, sometimes that support may be, this is how you plan a funeral for a child. But the resources are there, and people don't know. Who knows? I didn't know how to do that. And so Rivers Rainbows is really about caregiver support, be that the parents or the grandparents, or how can I help you? Because I know that when I would sit in the hospital, I almost hate saying it now. I feel like I could sit there in the room and I would have pity parties for myself, and I would be on Facebook or Instagram and watching my friends live their lives, and here I am stuck in the hospital. But when I found myself, I started crocheting again. I started doing things like that. When I was keeping myself busy, I was happier, and I know that I was being a better caregiver. So sometimes it's just things like that. What can I do for this mom, this dad, this grandparent to make that a little bit easier? Because everybody's taking care of those kids. Everybody is. But you have to fill your own cup first. And that's where Rivers Rainbows was born. And honestly, even the rainbow thing, he loved colors. He loved coloring and painting and Play-Doh. And let me just tell you, I hate Play-Doh with a passion. But I know the hospitals have magical closets of Play-Doh that there's just always Play-Doh that comes out of them. If you asked him his favorite color, any different day, he would tell you a different color. And in the end, really, red, orange, yellow were his favorite. Can you stop rolling that? In the end, his favorite colors were red, orange, yellow because fire, and he was a firefighter and all that. But Rivers Rainbows was because he loved all colors of the rainbow, and I feel like that's so inclusive of everybody and all the cancers and everything. It just fit him and it fit what I wanted.
That's beautiful. I love all of that, and and that's such a good point, Jocelyn. Like we talked earlier about, a lot of people don't realize, all of the stuff that these kids deal with after their treatments are over. Um, what the parents go through and the grandparents go through, aunts and uncles, whoever's there helping out with these kids while they're going through their journey. Uh, People don't realize how much y'all have on your plate during all of that, and in a lot of ways, you guys have to put your lives on hold, and B, figure out how to pay for all this stuff too. So you can't like quit working, and it's really tough, and it's wonderful that you've created this way of helping people out through that tough time. And it's sad to think about, but you know, if the treatments and everything don't work, I know parents are so focused on the treatment part of the journey through all of that. If it doesn't work, then you're really in a hard place, and you don't know what to do. So it's a true blessing that y'all are doing what you're doing. And we're keeping this silly, so I don't want to get too serious or mushy, but I wanted to say that. Thank you for doing all the Rivers Rainbow stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you guys do. I mean, you're so much of what gets even parents through the day. I still have a lot of videos of River when OT and PT would be in, and there's some of my favorite videos because he would have so much fun with it, be it bowling or, I mean, I know we would have days where he didn't want to get out of bed, or he just didn't want to be a very nice person. And he would fight PT and OT sometimes, but then by the end of it, he didn't want him to leave. And same with the nurses. Like, you guys, I think it takes a special person to be in the medical field, period, but then especially to be working with children, and then children with special needs on that unit. That takes a very special person, for sure.
Well, thank you. We, we try to, as much as possible, keep these kids' lives as normal as possible. And, there's a lot of ways we do that. I miss out on a lot of it because I'm still working night shifts. So a lot of the fun stuff happens before I get there. But I try to make up for that with a lot of really terrible dad jokes until the kids go to bed at night.
I was gonna say, for being a night shift nurse, I feel like you're pretty involved, and like we know you're there still. So that speaks volumes of your shenanigans, I think.
Well, thank you. I do pull a lot of shenanigans.
That's a good sign, right? If we know you're there.
Probably more than my coworkers would like for me to. But anyway, we can talk about that another time. So I just got a notification that we have hit our $1,250 goal. It looks like we're at $1,265. So thank you for everyone that's added a little more to our donations. So we're going to do another color. And our next mystery color is going to be
drum roll.
Oh, I should have waited for the drum roll. So we're going to go blue, and I think that'll probably look too close to the green. So I'm all backwards here. Hold on, that's this side. I'm going to put it next to the pink, and then I have one more mystery color that we might get to tonight. But like I said, if we don't get to $1,500 tonight, I will have that color with me all week, and as soon as I hit that goal, I will throw it in my hair. And I should be pretty good at it by then because of all the practice I'm getting tonight.
I was going to say, you might have to start, hiring out your rainbow dyeing services. I
Right.
might hire you next. I've always wanted to dye my hair purple. My husband wouldn't let me when it was long like this. So maybe now.
Yeah,
Like, all right.
you've got a week.
Yeah.
Um, so speaking of that, I've mentioned that I'm going to get my hair shaved on Friday. We're going to be doing a very small, kind of low key event at the hospital. We usually do some sort of kickoff event every year for our St. Baldrick's drive. And this year, because of the pandemic and because our visitation policies are pretty tight right now at the hospital, and our patients are super immunocompromised. So the last thing we want is for them to be around crowds right now. So we're going to do a very, very small kind of low key event. I think three of us are going to get our hair taken off, hopefully by some of our patients. We'll be looking and seeing what patients we have available on Friday and which ones fill up to the task. But that's our plan for this week. But a week from today, on Sunday, March 21st, Keely, right down here, and she may have mentioned this when I had my headphones off and was moving my computer around, but Keely's going to shave her hair off. And she's also going to be donating to, which place are you donating it to?
Wigs for Kids, I think is what I went for.
Awesome. And so I don't know a lot about that organization, but I do know that a lot of our team members over the years who have shaved off their hair have used it to donate. And they, like their name says, they make wigs for kids.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about it a little bit, or?
Yeah. So I know that there's a few different, I actually used to, this is probably maybe my third time donating my hair.
Uh-huh.
And the first couple times I actually donated to Locks of Love. And this time I decided to go for Wigs for Kids. One of the reasons being, I know that obviously I've donated to Locks for Love before. And I just figured, for one, I'll spread the love a little bit more.
Right.
And for two, I know that you need a little bit more length to donate to Wigs for Kids. And so I know that one of the things that they do is that they specifically provide wigs for kids who have lost hair because of like chemotherapy and cancer and things like that. And so they typically require, like I said, a longer length. That's one of the reasons I used Locks of Love in the past, is because you can only donate, I think you have to have 10 inches or whatever to donate to Locks of Love. And Wigs for Kids, I believe, provides their wigs for free of charge to kids who have lost their hair because of cancer, chemotherapy, and I think there's other conditions like alopecia and things like that too. So I think it's like 30 inches now that I have.
You have a lot of hair.
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
So it'll be a lot of wig material, I'm hoping. But yeah, that's one of the things. And I know you can also donate financially to Wigs for Kids also. But yeah, that's one of the things. And one of the things I would really like to do, and one of the reasons I was kind of inspired to donate my hair, in addition to the things that I mentioned earlier, is for such a long time, we would have girls come in and they would lose their hair. And for a girl, losing your hair, especially if you have like really thick hair and really pretty hair, it's like, there's such a value, especially now that in the age of social media and TikTok and Instagram, there's such a value placed on your looks and your hair and, all those things. And young girls have such a hard time with that when they lose their hair, and they have such a hard time with the way that it looks and the way that, your value rests in your appearance. And I always tell them, beauty is skin deep, and all the things, all the cliches that you tell girls, and they're like, well, that's easy for you to say when you have all this long hair. So I feel like it's kind of helpful to practice what you preach and go in there and be like, truly, it really doesn't matter if you have hair or not. And then also, one of the things that I think our program could do a little better is have better resources for those kids, whether that's hats and caps. I've had a few parents reach out and say, what are the best hats? What are the best headbands? What are the best turbans? What are the best softest headgear that's we live in Texas, so it can't always be warm. Sometimes it needs
Right.
to be cool and sweat wicking, but soft. So that's kind of my plan, is to also be bald for a little while and try out some of the headgear that's recommended and stock up on a few of those things and make a little resource list for some people. Learn a little bit about wigs and learn a little bit about what makes them stick when you're bald, and what the best affordable wigs are for girls who actually want. We had a girl one time, this is kind of an OT thing, who was planning a quinceañera and had no hair. And so obviously it's going to be a scaled back quinceañera because she was immunocompromised at the time. But I just thought, wow, I don't have any way to help her with hair because I can't even try a wig on. I have so much hair. So I was like, that's something that I feel like we really need a little bit more of a resource for young girls. So
yeah,
absolutely. And it's one of those things where I tell a lot of my clients as a hairstylist, especially when St. Baldrick comes up, I always tell them, I think that every woman should go really short or shave at least once in their life because it's very empowering. Because so much of who we are as women is wrapped up in our hair. That's kind of what we're taught from a young age, that our hair is so much of it. And honestly, it is, but it doesn't have to be. But there's a difference when we have a choice to do that. Some of these kids don't have the choice.
Absolutely.
The very first time I shaved I have a daughter too, but I have a son, and he lost his hair and I shaved my head so I would look like him too, and I didn't have to, he didn't ask me to, but I just felt like it was something I needed to do, and now I feel very strongly about it. And for me, I feel like it's one of those things where it's funny. It's my event. I'm not shaving at my event, but I'm going to shave my head every 5 years since River was 5. So that's kind of, and I feel like I'll probably mention on Sunday that, I'm not going against what I'm preaching to do. I'm just, there's a reason behind my time frame with what I'm doing.
I think that's great.
I tend to shave every 5 years until forever, until I have no hair to shave. But
I think that's really cool. And that what you mentioned, and one of the things that I've tried to tell people a lot of is, obviously someone said, oh, you're just doing that for attention. I'm like, well, yeah, that's the whole point of the whole thing, is to get attention. Like, if you just bring a bucket outside and say, hey, will you donate to childhood cancer? People are like, yeah, here's some pocket change. But if you're like, I'm shaving my head and I have 30 inches of hair, they're like, what? Are you crazy? But one of the things that you touched on is that a lot of people either are shocked and they're like, oh my gosh, or they're like, wait, why would you do that? And one of the things that I keep emphasizing is that so many of our kids don't have the choice, and they don't get this, what I had was, I knew I was going to do this last year, and I've been not cutting my hair, growing it out, planning, whatever. I had this basically long goodbye to my hair. So many of our kids don't get that. No. Some of our kids get sick, come into the hospital, end up intubated, and a month later they wake up with no hair. You know what I mean? It's that's one of the things that I think, there's so many small pictures of what childhood cancer takes away from our kids that it's almost too graphic to say to people some of the things that I want them to know and understand about why we need to end this and why we need to fix this. And that's just one of them, is that they don't get the chance to say goodbye to their hair. And that's something I feel like you touched on that's really important.
Yeah. And a lot of kiddos that are going through this journey, are teenagers.
Yes.
And adolescents. And, that part at that point in your life, your looks are kind of what identify you. They're important to you. And, you're already going through an awkward time of your life. And then to have this on top of it, it can be very, very emotionally rough on the kids. So that's one of the things that I always, it always kind of warms my heart when I show up at work after the event, and these kids see me kind of looking like them a little bit. And it really kind of emphasizes solidarity, and they're not in this alone. They have people supporting them, and people, that are willing to go through a little bit of the same kind of stuff they're going through. I'm not comparing what they're going through, but just as far as the way I look when I come in. I remember the first year I did this, and I well, I can't say the kiddo's name anyway because of HIPAA and stuff. But I can't pull her name right now. But there was a little 3-year-old girl I was taking care of, and every time I would crouch down next to her bed to assess her, or check her lines or whatever, she would reach up and just rub my head, and that was when I decided, this is where I need to be, and this is
It's
what
important.
I need to do. And and speaking of that, one of the things that I did not bring up at the beginning of the show was why I'm into this, why I do this. So first of all, quick apology. All of this was going to happen yesterday afternoon, and I'm a night shift nurse, and I fell asleep about 2 hours before, and I didn't wake up until yesterday evening. So that's why we rescheduled for today at a later time, so that I would definitely be awake in here. So I feel terrible about that. But so far, our responses and our views to this thing have been pretty great. So maybe rescheduling it for tonight was a good thing, and I got time to reach out to you guys and invite y'all in. But that out of the way, today is a very special day to me. Today would have been my father's 74th birthday. My father, when he was in his 40s, around about my age, actually, he was diagnosed with CLL, which is a type of lymphoma that adults get. And he also had gotten some skin cancer from working outside most of his life. And, way back, 40, 50 years ago, people didn't think about, keeping their skin away from the sun, right? So he also battled with skin cancer, and eventually it metastasized and ended up kind of moving all over. But I lost my dad in 2008. So the fact that we're doing this today on his birthday, and he's kind of the reason that I went into oncology services after nursing school. And when I say kind of, he's the biggest reason. When he was going through his journey, which looks a lot different than the journey the kids go through. Every time I would visit him, if he was in the hospital for treatment or in there because of neutropenia or whatever, I was always so impressed by the caregivers and the staff that took care of him. And he spent a lot of time at a hospital in Longview, Texas, called Good Shepherd Hospital. I think it's a Christus Santa Rosa hospital now. But at the time, it was Good Shepherd Hospital in Longview, Texas. And I want to give a shout out to I don't think any of the staff are watching this, but I do want to give them a shout out because they did a phenomenal job taking care of my dad, who is a big joker. And sometimes his jokes can end up being kind of a pain in your behind. So they were very patient, and this was like 20 years ago. So sometimes men of a certain age may have said things that they shouldn't have been saying. And we'll leave it at that, but it was all good-hearted. And my dad was a super good guy, and one of the most caring and compassionate men I've ever known. So doing this tonight is a good way for me to honor him, along with all the kids whose memories I honor with doing this. So I kind of apologize for oversleeping tomorrow, but not completely, because I think it worked out okay. But let's see how we're sitting right now. So I am not at my $1,500 mark yet. So we'll stay on for a few more minutes. And I want to take, before we wrap things up, especially since I have Jocelyn here, can you tell us a little bit about the event that's going to be next Sunday? Like, are there ways that people can be involved in that without being there? Since we have a pretty pretty decent audience right now that's kind of spread all over?
Definitely. I always, like I said earlier, we have a lot of first responders that support us. And so we always have people who can't be there. And I know a lot of you guys at the hospital, since you do the kickoff, you don't shave on site. And previously, we haven't really thought through how do we still honor those guys or kind of show that, hey, these people shave too. So I think we are working on a way to also have some live streaming of maybe some people that are shaving at home or at the station. If anybody last minute at the hospital wants to shave and wants to do it on Sunday, we might be able to live stream that as well. And that's kind of, that part of that has come through with COVID. The St. Baldrick's has really pushed this year to make most of the events virtual or more of the events virtual. But since we have an outside event, I feel like it's a little bit easier to do it. We can still do it there and do it fairly safely. We are going to, I don't think the restaurant is necessarily requiring masks, but I'm ultimately, as the event organizer, requiring masks, even during streaming. And we're going to still outside on the stage. We will have the chairs 6 feet apart, trying to still recognize all those CDC guidelines. But for sure, for people who can't come, they can still donate. They can, we will try to put it, I think we may put it on Facebook Live. I'm not 100% sure which platform they're going to use yet, but we are working towards to be able to live stream not only the event, but anybody who might want to shave at home but can't be on site.
Oh,
we want to be able. Yeah, I've got one of my treasurers does a lot of stuff for school, so she told me recently that she might be able to make that happen, and I thought, you know what, then let's do it. Because again, we have so many people who can't come because of work or because they're compromised. And initially, I wanted to kind of have a separate table, a separate section for some of our kiddos that do come that are compromised. But in the end, I think very few of those families are going to come. So, we may still have an area set up for them. They would be away from everybody. But, but we're going to move forward like we always have, but just following guidelines and trying to keep everybody a little bit safer and still have a lot of fun. And one of my biggest, I don't want to call it a disappointment because there are no disappointments when it comes to these events. My wonderful friend Larry Garza is a local comedian, and he has been my MC the last 2 years. And I don't remember last year if he shared that he also has cancer. And, he'd met my son before. I think he was diagnosed, but River was a big inspiration for him, and they got really close. But since this last year through COVID, he's had a relapse, and he's doing great now by all standards. He's doing great, but he's not going to be able to do my MC this year. So we have a new MC that I think is going to make it a lot of fun. She's also a local comedian, and I love being able to incorporate somebody local from the community. And I think sometimes when we talk about St. Baldrick's, when we talk about cancer, it's people kind of immediately, oh, well, this is sad. St. Baldrick's events are not sad. They're fun. There are some, it can be sad listening to some of the stories, but at the same time, it's so much fun. And we're celebrating these kids, and that's the thing. We get to celebrate them while also raise funding and awareness and hopefully give them longer, better lives. So I'm super excited that we're still going to be able to move forward with the event this year. It looks different, and and honestly, like I said earlier, we've already, I think last I looked, we were over $27,000. So I have no doubt that we will beat last year's numbers, or at least get really close. And in this year of COVID and snowvid, I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I want to throw this out there right now. On the YouTube channel that we're streaming this on, in the description to the video, and this may be on Facebook also. In the description, there are links to the event on the St. Baldrick's website. So there are links to the 3rd annual New Braunfels Sharon. There's also a link to our team page, which is, we call it Shaving Lives. And everything but the H is capital. So if you just read the capital letters, it says Saving Lives. One of our BMT doctors that moved to Michigan end of last year, Dr. Troy Quigg, came up with that name, and it has stuck, and it's ours now. So if he starts a team up there, he can't use it. So if you're
Not
watching
unless he
Dr.
comes
Quigg,
back.
that's
Not
right.
unless he comes back.
That's right. You have to come back to Texas if you want to use that name, Dr. Quigg.
I agree. I heard that.
And yeah, Dr. Quigg is great. I sent him a message last minute. I was hoping that he might join us, but like I said, it was very last minute. But anyway, oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. Boo! I hate it when that happens. It doesn't happen often, but it happened right now. Oh yeah, I was talking about the links. So we have the link to the NB Sharon event. There's a link to our team site, and you can click on it, and you can see all of the members of our team. So on there, if you go on there, you can click on Keely's link if you'd like to make a donation to her page. My page is on there. And then we have two other shavies on our team this year. We have Kinsey Delgado and her husband Alan, and they're both going to be shaving their heads at the hospital this week. Kinsey is one of our nurses. She works on the day shift on our unit, and you know, she's like the rest of us. She just loves these kids. And you know what? If you're married or in a relationship with anyone that takes care of these special patients, then by proxy, you love them too. And her husband Alan is shaving his head for that reason, and that's actually been a big thing over the years. That's really surprised me. As I've been involved with these teams, is how many family members that have no contact or interaction with our patients whatsoever, but how many friends and family members of staff sign up and do this. And it just it always just blows me away and shows me just how big people's hearts are, you know. And it also it shows how infectious the love and for these kids is as well, right? So they're a special bunch, and we're crazy about them, and that's why we do the crazy stuff that we do. But
definitely, they're well deserving of it for sure.
Yes.
I think they just inspire so many people. That's like, there's so much to be said about that.
They really do. They're you know, there's been a lot of stuff, and which I don't hate it, but there's been a lot of stuff like in the last over the last year and a half since I guess it's been more over the last year since COVID, where like healthcare workers have been called superheroes. Well, I would like to shift that and say that the kids and young adults that we take care of, they're the superheroes. They're the strong ones. They're the ones doing all the work. We're
I've
just
said
there
that
to
so many
support them.
times. Like, we wouldn't be able to do our jobs if we weren't inspired by the people we
Right.
serve. Truly.
Right. So I'm going to put this out there, and maybe it'll trend. But from here on out, while we're in this pandemic, I'd prefer for us healthcare workers to just be called sidekicks. You know, let them be the Batman.
I
We'll
love
be the
it.
Robins. Let them be the Wonder Women, and we'll be the Wonder Girls.
I love it.
You know, we'll be hashtag sidekicks.
Make a T-shirt of that, and I will help you sell it.
I
like
will
wildfire.
do it. I will do it. And all funds, like all the T-shirts I sell, go to St. Baldrick's. So we'll do that. I like that.
And
I just thought
speaking
that right.
of Baldrick's t-shirts, I got a huge shipment of shirts from last year. So
Oh.
anybody who wants t-shirts, even if they're not on site at the event on Sunday, I do have a bunch of t-shirts from last year that we can sell. And also, that money also obviously goes back to the Sharon as well. So anybody at the hospital who maybe didn't get one last year, because in the last couple of years, I guess years prior, you could get extra shirts. And the last 3 years for sure that I've done it, you've only been able to get shirts for people who are signed up as volunteers or JVs. So we've never had extra shirts to sell. Well, I have at least 50 extra shirts to sell this year.
Wow.
So
Wow.
if anybody at the hospital, anybody else who wants shirts, we have plenty of shirts we can sell this year.
Well, I will. I'll get the information from you afterwards, and I'll tweet that out and use whatever powers I have to get that information out there. because they're really nice shirts. Like the one I have on right now is from, I think this is from last year, right? Or the year before?
I think that is last year's. And
Yeah.
I'll post it on Instagram and Facebook as well too.
Oh, perfect, perfect. That'll probably be the easiest way to share it around. But yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can help out and raise funds and awareness for all of this. So I don't know. Do you guys have anything else y'all want to add in? I'm thinking I'm probably hitting the time limit. I need to start rinsing this out of my hair.
I want to just remind everybody that when it comes to St. Baldrick's, while we kind of push shaving your head to raise money, you can sign up as a volunteer and raise money as well.
Yes.
You don't have to shave your head. It's awesome if you want to. It's a lot of fun, and it really helps push the whole. Like when I shaved my head the very first time, it was for a personal family fundraiser. We didn't do it for
Mhm.
St. Baldrick's the very first time, but we made these buttons that said "Ask me why I'm bald," because it definitely instead of just maybe getting those weird looks and I'm sure both of you, just those looks that when you're bald, you get these looks, and sometimes I've had friends tell me that they got looks of pity because, oh, they must be in treatment or they must have. But when we had that button that said, ask me why I'm bald, well, if somebody said, well, why are you bald? Well, let me tell you why. Because my child has cancer, or because I know these children who have cancer. And I'm watching my daughter and my brain just stopped. But there are other, but you don't have to shave your head to raise money for St. Baldrick's. I think that's a popular misconception. You can sign up as a volunteer and just raise money too. If it's a cause that it's important to you, then you don't have to shave your head. You don't have to have a child with cancer. You can just know that this is something that is important that we need to do more for, and sign up as a volunteer and raise the money. It doesn't, even if it's the $5 that you're going to spend on your coffee tomorrow morning, no amount is too small because it all adds up and it all goes to an extremely great cause.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, one thing I was going to add is also reaching out if you're raising money. Reaching out to local businesses is something that has surprised me because I've just kind of gone out and given little flyers that I made and things to local businesses in New Braunfels, and they've been super receptive to it. They've been like, "Oh my gosh, bring us a stack of these, and we'll hand them out to our customers." We have an event that we're actually planning this week with a local business that's going to donate proceeds of their sip and shop to our cause, and I just have been kind of blown away by how many people have been super receptive and super supportive. There's just so many local people that just want to help. So it's not just individual people that are like, to be honest, a local business is an individual person that has a bigger reach than just me.
Right.
So I think that's something too to kind of keep in mind when you're fundraising too. So anyone out there that is fundraising or maybe is thinking a week is too late for me to jump in and do this, it's not. In a week, you can actually do a ton of stuff. Like in a week, I raised $1,000 when I started doing this. So a lot of people could just jump in this week and help if you want. You would be amazed at how receptive people are and how many people want to help.
Yeah, and I want to echo that, and also what Jocelyn just said. If you don't want to shave your head, you can still raise donations. When you go on to the stbaldricks.org and sign up, it'll give you options of how you want to sign up. And if you sign up as a volunteer, which we usually have like 2 or 3, 4, I think 4 is the most we've ever had, but we usually have a handful of volunteers on our team. We've got a couple of girls on our team this year that are doing just that. So it's a way that you can also help spread the word and raise donations. And like Keely said, we're a week out. That's still a lot of time. And one other thing I'm just going to throw out there. Let's say you're hurting for money right now. I know. Especially here in Texas, the last month or so has been pretty tough and has been very financially hard on a lot of people. For those of you that don't know, Texas, like all of Texas, turned into a popsicle a little over about a month ago, right? And a lot of people lost their homes and property as a result of it because we're just not prepared for that kind of business down here. So it has been a tough time. If you're not able to donate now, all of the donation links on stbaldrick's.org stay active in perpetuity. That means if you want to look up the first shave event that Jocelyn put on 3 years ago, you can go donate to it. Or if you don't have any money to spare right now, but you do later this year, you can still donate to what we're doing right now. So don't let the event next Sunday be your timeline or your finish line. You can still give all year round, and next year, and the following year, and infinity years. But I think that's about what we're going to do tonight. I've got 4 stripes in my head. I look like a psychedelic crazy tiger man. We'll see what it looks like after I wash it and dry it. I'll make sure I post some pictures, and I still have that $1,500 goal. So if we hit that this week, then when it comes shave time, I'll have another streak in here, and then that's about all I've got. Do you ladies have anything else you'd like to share before we sign off?
I don't think so. I think that's it. Thank you so much for having us on.
You're so welcome.
It's my pleasure.
You guys are so welcome. I appreciate y'all coming on and sharing your Sunday evening with us. And I appreciate everything you're doing, Keely, to raise funds. And like we've said already, for a young lady to shave her head off is a big deal. And I appreciate what you're doing with your hair afterwards. That's pretty powerful and pretty special and very amazing. And I super appreciate everything that you're doing this year, Jocelyn, with the event, everything that you do with Rivers Rainbow, and everything you've done since you found out about his diagnosis. You are a superwoman. You are a Wonder Woman. You're like, after all of the lions come together to form Voltron, you're Voltron woman. And we just love everything you do, and just keep it up. Don't ever stop being you. That goes for both of you guys. And that's it for tonight. Make sure you check out our links. And like I said, you can donate anytime. And we'll be having our shave event in New Braunfels next Sunday on March 21st at 2. Hi there. I saw someone peeking in.
Yeah, this is River's little sister Sparrow, who's very sad right now.
Oh, that's all right. That right there was the highlight of the show tonight.
Definitely.
I think.
Little surprise appearance.
Right. For Jocelyn and for Keely and for everyone else involved in St. Baldrick's in our local event and our teams. I'm Jeff Saunders. Thanks for joining us. Good night.